Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course I'm joined by John Sneisen to my left and G. Edward Griffin to my right. And what an incredible conference the Red Pill Expo was. Mr. Griffin, can you go into what you thought of the turnout and how you think the conference went?
Well, that's a very happy thing to do. The turnout was excellent. It exceeded my wildest expectations. The enthusiasm was there at a high level. Everything that I dared not expect, lest I be disappointed, was present. So you see the smile on my face. That's why it is.
It's so inspiring, and I really think you should be proud because you put a lot of effort into this, a lot of work, and in the end, I think everyone that came from the conference kind of walked out uncomfortable, but kind of in shock of what they had just seen. I think a lot of people went in thinking they were aware, and then they saw a little niche of something they hadn't quite heard of and came out of it all that much better. And I think that, like, you've gone into this a bit with me before, how the next step is what happens after you leave the conference. How do we go to a conference and not just talk about all these things and then leave and then go back to our normal life and then everything goes on? So what do you think is the goal of leaving this conference and what needs to happen?
Well, yes. Before I answer that, though, I'd like to comment on your observation that there was an awakening, even among those who thought they were awakened.
Yeah.
You know? And this is a phenomenon that I have observed over many years, and I didn't really focus on it before. But it's logical when you think about it. If you crack an egg, sometimes the first crack is a little harder. But once that first crack is done, well, the egg comes apart pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've all seen that phenomenon, especially with people who have had sort of an isolated view of the world. They think everything is fine, and yeah, we got some troubles out there, but we've been through troubles before. We've always rebounded, you know, that kind of a thing. And all of a sudden they take that red pill, which is why we call it the Red Pill Expo, and it's a crack. They say, oh my gosh, that wasn't real at all. I was being fooled. And once that first crack is present, their eyes open up and they can see cracks everywhere, other cracks that they pursue. So it's not surprising to me that people were walking out of there saying, oh my gosh, I thought I understood things, I thought I was aware, but gee, I just discovered this, this, and this. Well, that is the whole reason we designed this expo as we did, and why we called it the Red Pill Expo. And it wasn't just to awaken people, but it was to bring people together who are on the path to truth. They already know that there's something wrong out there, and they're trying to figure it out, and that maybe they've discovered a little piece of it. They might, oh my, the school system, that's it, you know, look what they're teaching in the schools. And it's no error, they're doing it on purpose, and that may come as a big surprise to them, but everything else is fine.
Absolutely,
So by bringing people together who see that crack, and somebody else says, oh my gosh, the money system, why, it's as phony as it can be, it's legalized plunder and so forth. Well, if you bring those two people together, it's much easier for one that's already got the crack on this side to communicate with the other one. Oh, well, explain to me about this. So that's exactly what is happening. So it was one of those rare occasions where your plans actually work out.
Well, and when you look at the modern education system through public schooling, through college, through university, we've seen the results of this, and it's a dangerous result. We've seen out-of-control Marxism, out-of-control socialism, and I guess you can all put it into the basket of out-of-control collectivism. And I think the major part of actually bringing about change is education. And this is not just incredibly educational, but this is what will bring about action in the future. I know you have some plans for the Red Pill University. Can you go into that a bit?
Yes, now we're back to your original question. Well, what about this after the expo? What do you do? And it's obvious that when people get together face to face, there's a synergy that comes up. It's something that you cannot match by sending emails to each other. You cannot match it even on the telephone or on a Skype interview. Oh, that's coming closer to it. But when you can sit down and talk to people and you can sort of sense everything about them, you see their reactions, their body language and everything, and it's much easier to get to know that person. And if they have the same heart and the same mind, it's easier to become a friend real fast, you know. And it's easier for people to bond. And first thing you know, they're saying, you know, let's get together again.
Yeah,
and it's not just like, I'll call you someday. They really want to. And so all of a sudden you find these coalitions being built. It's kind of a networking thing. And that is what our opponents have done for decades.
Yes.
If you study their literature and you study their history, you find their path into the past is always loaded with conferences and meetings and gatherings and celebrations and everything, and their group people, you know? And that's one of the problems, because the individualists, such as we are, we tend to be loners more or less. I mean, not that we don't have friends, but once in a while, okay, leave me alone. I don't want to get involved in politics, and that's dirty, you know. Hate politicians and so forth. So we leave the field open to people who have this other point of view, which is, I'm going to get involved in a group, and our group is going to dominate that group, and we're going to control everything.
Yes.
You know? And you can't deal with that by running away from it, saying, well, I don't want anything to do with it. So now for the first time, really, we're giving people our point of view, who really are anti-groupies. We're really we're non-joiners, you know. But it's giving people like us the chance to begin to create our own coalitions based on a slightly different model. It's a model that, even though we're working together collectively, and it is a group, it's not the kind of a group with, you know, top-down direction. It's not an authoritarian structure. You will do this, and you will not do that, all that sort of thing. We have leadership, but it's the leadership of inspiration, and teachers are the leaders, not the commanders, and, and so forth. So, but the point is, we are grouping together for really the first time ever, I think. And for the first time ever, I think the collectivists are going to have a huge dent in their armor.
Yeah, and it's a voluntary collective, unlike what we see with the government today. And I think that it's an obvious sign of, when they are scaring us, we are losing. When we are scaring them, we are winning. And we've seen that from the ridiculous press coverage of this event. People who didn't take the time to come to the event and see it for themselves, but thought it would be a good idea to slander people at the event without actually understanding the complexity and it was a beautiful thing watching so many people get together. I mean, if only these people that spoke in the press came and saw Jeanette Finicum speak. I mean, what an incredible woman. And they instead will jump and say, well, these people are a bunch of white supremacists. They speak for individual freedom, so let's just link that over automatically as some form of Nazism. You've been doing this for a long time, sir. Does this frustrate you, or does this tell you that you're doing something right?
Well, it tells me that I'm doing something right, but it doesn't frustrate me, because I expect it. I've had a lot of time in this field to study their literature. I've probably spent more time reading communist literature and Nazi literature, fascist literature, as part of my research, you know, to see what these people really believe. And I know that it's from the playbook. You know, the best way to overcome your opposition is to discredit them, to minimize them, you know, minimalize them, put them in the margins and call them names. It doesn't make a difference whether they are those things. You have to create the impression in the minds of the public and so forth. It's this strategy. They teach this in school. And so it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't even frustrate me. I say, okay, here comes the enemy. Here, let's get ready for it. Here we go. You know, so you have to understand how these people work. They don't really don't believe it. They just know it's a strategy. If you've ever watched, sometimes you've seen these demonstrations on camera, you know, these people that are ranting and yelling and screaming and so forth. Did you ever notice what they were doing just before they started to rant? They're talking with somebody casually. Oh, are we on camera now? Yeah. So it's all theater. It's theater. So once you understand that, it's okay. That's the nature of the battle we're in. Here we go.
Yeah, I think it's kind of theater for a lot of people. I find a lot of people are too lazy to actually have a belief in what they're saying. They don't want to look into what they're saying. They would prefer to just regurgitate what they're told to be mad about instead of what they should truly be mad about. John, you saw some incredible things at this conference. How do you think it went?
Well, I think it went fantastic, and this has been a dream of Griffin for a long time, and I've been very blessed to be able to work side by side with you for the last year now, and putting this great event together. It's
well, thank you.
I'm very humbled for that, and but what I want to also say, you know, it wasn't just the people that came out, you know, to watch the speakers. It was actually the speakers themselves that woke up and took a bunch of red pills as well.
Yes, all of us. We're still in the student phase, all of us. And even though I've probably been in this battlefront longer than anybody around here, I learn every hour, every minute. I learn something from not just the speakers, but the people in the audience. They'll come up afterwards and they'll say, you know, how much they appreciate you and all those nice things that they say. And then let me tell you about something that happened to me. And my father did this, and my uncle, and I was involved in this. And I said, wow, you were? Tell me more. Yeah. So we're students, and
Exactly.
We have so much to learn, and that's the other reason for having an expo rather than a single topic kind of a conference. So we just mix it up, and there's so much more to cover. We completely were filled up with spots on the program. I would say we could have easily, without even trying, have put 10 times that much material up, which is one of the reasons we decided to do the Red Pill University, because not only did we want to continue this educational process, but we wanted to keep this momentum and the connection to it, the personal connection and bonding. We wanted to keep that going day after day after day, and that, as you said a moment ago, when the event is over, thank you very much, be sure I'll give you a call, and so forth, and it drops to the wayside. So the Red Pill University is designed to fill that void, and we're having a lot of fun right now designing the website and doing the software and everything. But basically, it'll be kind of like our own Facebook, only it'll be a lot of video. We'll have a faculty of all these people who have done important things, done the research. We know that they really know what they're talking about.
Yes.
They've been there. This is their life story and so forth. That's our faculty, and they'll have access to our university. They'll be able to put up their own courses, and people can come from all around the world and question them, enroll in their classes, or just go and watch them. They don't have to enroll for sure. But we want to keep this thing going. And you know, when you think about it, that was the true origin of a university. Yeah. Back in the ancient days.
Higher learning, yeah.
Higher learning. There was some knowledge person, a philosopher, a teacher, and all of a sudden he'd walk into the square and there were students out there waiting for him. You know, can we talk about this today, sir? Can we talk about that? And that was the true open university. There was no curricula necessarily. There were no diplomas on the wall, no tuition. It was just people teaching each other.
Absolutely, and the connections that were made at this conference were incredible. You can't find a better conference to make these kinds of connections. You mentioned the stories that people tell. Walking through the hallway at the conference, just people coming up to me, telling me about things that happened to them in their life, things they're involved in, a radio show, a website, an invention, a company. You know, it's just incredible. I mean, in the beginning, there were people like yourself and Anthony Hilder and people of the likes back in the 1960s who were really speaking loudly about a lot of the issues that we talked about just in the past days. But now, just looking, it must be incredibly inspiring to you to see so many people. And as you said, it could have been about 10 times more people than there were, because people were trying to jam into that schedule to the very last second.
It was very inspiring, very rewarding, and but you know, the battle has just begun, and we can't say, well, we've done it, and go back to where we were. No, we're just getting our legs now.
And that's what comes out of a lot of those connections, because then we leave tomorrow and we get on the road and we have these connections, we work with these people, we do everything we can to take back individual liberty and put an end to this insane over-regulating, over-taxing, over-monopolizing collectivist structure that's tearing us apart, from the monetary system to the markets to the pharmaceutical system to just the culture current day's culture through public schooling and media propaganda. I think it's just a beautiful thing to watch, sir. I think you should be truly proud of what you've been able to accomplish, and so many other people who are working on this conference were able to accomplish. And I can't wait. I know it's already a little early, but I can't wait until next year for the Red Pill Expo #2.
Well, we can't either, but we don't have to wait really, because very soon, and probably by the time most people are watching our little video here, the Red Pill Expo in cyberspace will be operational. So we don't have to wait. So if anybody wants to get on into that experience, I urge them to. I'm pretty sure that the URL will be redpillexpo.net. And so if that doesn't work, try .org. They'll probably both go to the same place. But anyway, somewhere there, it's not done yet, but there'll be a place about, well, sign up for the Red Pill University.
Yeah.
And maybe by then, if that doesn't work, try redpilluniversity.org.
Absolutely. And I am looking forward to seeing more of your work. And we are just as you said at the beginning of our fight, John, do you have some final words on the conference?
Well, I think we're on the cusp of something. There was a feeling in the air that you had when you left the building there on that day, and I just felt like the power that we started there, something that we really created that is gonna grow into something very strong. Like we finally have solidified like our side of the movement, which has been very scattered. People have now started to let's get together, let's talk, let's work this out together, and that's gonna make us so strong, and we're gonna fight back against the collectivist tyrannical structures that are trying to take over our lives. And I think we will be able to free ourselves in the near future, because this is very, very promising, watching all of the people, of course the great speakers, but all the individuals that I met there. I was very excited and passionate about what happened there, and they wanted to do things in their local communities. So I think we spurred something. It's that Ron Paul moment.
It was a kind of Ron Paul vibe, wasn't it? That feeling that a lot of us had back in 2012 when suddenly there is a massive movement forming, and we weren't quite sure what was happening, but we knew something was happening.
Yes, that's an interesting phenomenon, because with the Ron Paul movement, it was the idea that we could get somebody as a national leader, and as weak as that really is when you think about it, because one man can't do much by himself.
Surely not.
As we're now seeing, as a matter of fact, you have so much opposition around him. And but anyway, it was still the idea that we could accomplish something, and it was exciting. And but when you're just talking about, well, let's go defend our freedoms and our liberties, that's nothing you can get your hand onto. But when we came up with the idea of the red pill, well, now that applies across the board. It's almost like a political movement, but it's not political in any way. But it touches on everyone. See, everyone's got a red pill or more that they've taken.
Absolutely.
And so it turned out to work, actually, as we had planned it to work. Amazing.
And it's only gonna continue to grow as long as we don't sit down, think our hands are clean, lay apathetic, and hope for someone else to do something else. We need to keep fighting for this, and it's been a long fight for yourself. It's going to be a long fight for all of us, and it will continue. And once we actually achieve what we're looking for, even then, it's still going to be a fight to maintain that and continue to live in a much more freer society where individual liberty is actually respected and collectivist coercion is off the table. So I thank you so much for what you've done, and we will be back at everyone with much more from the Red Pill Expo. There's so many incredible conversations that we had at this year's expo here in Bozeman, Montana. As you said, Bozeman or bust. It was a great idea. At first I questioned it. I thought Bozeman, that's odd. But seeing it in person, it was a great idea.
It ended up being Bozeman.
Yeah, it ended up being incredible. So thank you very much, and we'll be back at you with much more. This is Josh Sigurdson with John Sneisen, and of course the legendary G. Edward Griffin, signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Do you like what you see here at Wham? Well, make sure to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. You can also see our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also find us on steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid to blog via cryptocurrencies. You can find me at Josh Sigurdson. So we hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.